Hey guys, this is Kelly and I have another process video for you. This layout by Jess is my inspiration. When I saw this layout on one of my Facebook groups, I just about died. I just think there's so many beautiful things in that layout, and I was very inspired by the colors and the stitching and the misting and just so many different things that I loved about it. And Jess was so gracious and allowed me to post her picture and use that as an inspiration piece. I have a couple of pictures that I wanted to scrapbook. It's me and my son, and you know, if you have teenage boys, how difficult it is sometimes to get them to allow you to take a picture. So these are just especially sweet for me. And I am using the Hip Kit Club kit from January. Most of the items in here are from Dear Lizzie Serendipity collection, and I'm sure I've said it before and I will continue to say it. These papers are just beautiful. And that navy floral that I'm matting behind the picture is my all-time favorite paper in this collection. First of all, I love navy, but you don't seem to have a lot, and at least the lines that I have. Every now and then you'll find a collection that has a pop of navy in it. So when I see it, I love it, and I usually hoard it. So I'm very proud of myself this time for actually getting it on a layout. So you will see that I am trying to save as much of that navy paper as I possibly can, and I've cut it so I can stretch it out a little bit and still have probably a 4-inch by 2-inch strip still left. And believe me, I will find a way to work it on a layout. And at this point, I'm just trying to figure out some of my paper layers. That piece right there, the white with the turquoise polka dots, I'm having to straighten out the edges. I had actually cut that out with a craft knife from behind another layer. Again, just to be able to stretch my papers as far as they'll go. And now it's time for the fun part. I am taking this beautiful Tattered Angels mist, and it's the color Sea Glass. And you know, I have had this for years, and I just forgot how pretty this color really is. It's a pretty blue with a little shimmer. And then I took the Mr. Huey's, I believe it's Heirloom Blue, but it may be Bonnie Blue. And you can see I tested it out in the middle and then go from there. If you're not sure how the misting is going to look or if it'll work with your pictures, you know, a great spot to always go is, you know, right behind your picture or where it won't be seen, so you can play with it and see if it's something that you like. And I did water it down some because it was just a little bit too dark for me, and I loved the result. And of course, I always have to add my little droplets. Now, if you haven't done mixed media or a lot of play with mist, it will warp your paper. But what I have found is that if you heat the front and the back, and then you'll see that I kind of ironed the paper with my hands. I think it takes out quite a few of the buckling parts. It doesn't take it out all the way, but it does lay flatter. This adorable mask is from Hero Arts in Basic Gray, and it was also part of the kit. It was the color add-on, I believe. And I am just taking embossing paste and peppering some hearts just around the page. I'm not sure exactly where the hearts will be seen. I have a general idea, but usually, you know, something gets covered or something pokes out. So I wanted to take it over a little bit just to make sure that those pretty hearts would be seen. And if you have not used embossing paste, it's very important that you clean off your stencil. You can barely see me in the bottom right-hand corner, but I keep baby wipes and paper towels and a mister with just water so that I can clean off the stencils after I use them. And it really is best if you let it dry by itself, but I'm impatient and I wanted to continue playing with my layout. So I do dry front and back as well, and then you can see that I'm testing a few of them just to make sure that they're done. I don't want to smudge any of them. So I knew that I did want to frame the white cardstock with the navy. I like the border and the framing appearance. It just kind of centers your layout for me. This layout is probably one of my go-to layouts if I'm stuck and don't know what I want to do. Basically having, a vertical strip and a horizontal strip and then just adding some paper layers. I do it quite frequently, but because the papers are changed and, the pictures are a little bit different and you can change little bits and pieces, it doesn't look like that you have an album full of layouts that are the exact same. But it's just a nice go-to when I'm either tired or can't really think or can't get out of my box. It's okay. Not every single one of our layouts needs to be a masterpiece. So at this point, I'm just trying to line the pictures up and get them where I want. And I knew that I wanted that doily at some part on my layout, but I just wasn't sure where. And I do believe that it ends up landing in the bottom. And again, just tucking some different layering pieces. I do have to use the T-square ruler when I am lining up paper that I have cut, just because if it's not straight, my eye will be able to see it and it drives me absolutely crazy. So again, you can see where I've cut that little strip just to stretch it out so you can see a little bit of it at the bottom. That was the piece that I cut out with the craft knife so the edges weren't straight. And when you have a layout with, most of the straight edges and then one that's not straight, some people can get away with it and make it look great. For me, it just drives me bonkers. So I have to make them straight. I'm just now starting to cut mats with scissors, and that's been something hard for me to do. I know that sounds crazy, but using a trimmer has been what I learned and what I've always done, and I'm so inspired by these people that can just cut the mats behind their pictures and let it go, that my goal is to try to do that more frequently. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with where everything is, and I am taking one of the Prima chalk inks and I'm trying to test out the color to see which one I would like best. And it's, Usually easier to ink the edges if you do it before you lay your layers down, but I've been known to not think about it or not really see the whole picture until everything is pieced together and then realize that I think I would like it a little bit better with the edges. Sometimes I like my edges white, sometimes I like them inked, sometimes I like to outline them. It's usually one of my later thoughts, and you can see I'm having to peel it up just a little bit to get the edges inked. And if you haven't tried those little Prima chalk inks, they are not that expensive, and I love them, especially Tin Can and Attic Dust. It's like a light brown and a light gray, and they're just so versatile. And I think they're like $2. Makes it easy if you don't have the applicator for the Tim Holtz Distress inks as well. That cork piece is also from the kit, and I felt like it was just made to go over those two pictures. And it says, a collection of moments I want to treasure forever. And the moments die cut is from Heidi Swapp, and I have tried to make this work on more than one layout. And for whatever reason, I love her die cut pieces, but I have struggled getting those on a layout, and I'm not sure why. You can see I'm just trying another one to see if I can make that work, and it doesn't. So these are some Heidi Swapp stamps that I had in my stash, and I pulled those out because I want to use my stamps more and incorporate them into more layouts, even if it's just stamping a small phrase. And so the phrase that I picked is "Remember this." And I'll be honest with you, stamping is not my strongest suit. And so I always take the stamp and stamp it onto another piece of paper a couple of times. For one, just so I can figure out how hard I need to press down to make a nice, crisp image. And number two, just to, I guess, season the stamp. If you have a new stamp that you haven't used, sometimes it does take a couple of times to stamp on your pad and stamping off on another sheet to make it, I don't know, look right. I'm sure I've heard the reasoning somewhere. But again, like I said, I'm not the best stamper, so I just do it in little bits and pieces. And I am just taking these phrases from Dear Lizzie and just seeing what I can get to work on the layout. And I picked the U beside my son. And here's where I'm deciding where to trim the layout down. And I just do a 1/2 inch so that I leave a 1/4 inch strip. It's funny, I will actually try to use my T-square ruler to line up the white cardstock with the blue. I can't get it to work, which drives me bonkers, and I just have to eyeball it. Between the little bit of warping and my ATG tape that sticks like glue, it's just not worth it. So you did see I put a lot of ATG tape on the back. I think it helps with the buckling when you have more adhesive on than not. So you did miss the part where I took the layout over to my sewing machine. My sewing machine's in a place where I can't figure out how to get the camera. So the only thing I did was sew a straight border around the edge of the white. Jess's layout had beautiful stitching, and I wanted to incorporate that in mine as well with the navy thread. All of my sewing pretty much up to this point has been just with white thread, and I love the contrast. I need to do different colors of thread more often. And I have used these Dear Lizzy enamel dots that came in the kit so much that I am almost out of the teal. So I'm going through my stash to try to find some different colors that I can get to go in. And then I'm not sure about you, but I always have leftover numbers. So I'm trying to make more of an effort to use up some of these numbers, and when I can, to put the date on a layout. Not because I necessarily need the date, because this will go in an album of 2014 pictures, but just to use these stickers up. And that'll do it for me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I appreciate all your feedback. And thanks again to Jess. Bye.